Today, I am so excited. We are sharing new features from Virtual Climer Cards. This has been a long time coming. Some of you might have shared with you an email or two over the last year. We've basically been without a developer for probably about a year, except for like severe emergencies. And it's been a long hunt to find somebody new, and she started in November. Her name's Stephanie. She may actually pop in, and she's fabulous, which means all the things you've been asking for are coming. Many of them are already here. So this morning I was just like almost like giggling to myself because I was so excited about sharing these all with you. So just to make sure you know, while you're here, this is all about to share. The purpose is to share with you the new features just released. If you have never used Virtual Climer Cards, you may be a little confused, but I'm hoping that most of you are more experienced. If you're a note taker, feel free to grab pen and paper really quick so you can take notes as we go. And this is being recorded, and we will share this out with you later. Probably also put it up on YouTube so you can easily access it. All right, what I'd love for you to do is find the chat box, and in the chat box, I want you to put two things. One, and you can put this all in one response. Where are you in the world? Where's your location right now? And then what type of groups or programs do you facilitate? That will give me some information that I might be able to kind of customize some comments as we're going today. So find the chat and put in those two things all in one reply if you can. Awesome. Right. Ahmed is in Austin, Texas, facilitating entrepreneurs, startups, careers. We got Tony from San Diego, working with teachers and principals and educators. Wendy's in Milwaukee, working with students and staff. Grace is in Australia. Woo! So far away, Grace. I'm so glad you're here. Remote and in-person leadership teams. Jean is in Rhode Island, working with K-12 educators. We got a lot of K-12 folks here today, which is awesome. Good to see you all. Daniel's out in California, facilitating professional development, DEI work. All right, we got a good mix of folks. I love it, and a good representation across both the country, the US, and the world. Kay's out in Denver. I think we now have all the time zones represented. And Bernard's in Notre Dame, Indiana. Awesome. All right, welcome everyone. So we're going to also put up a poll. I want to know, how many times have you facilitated with Virtual Climer Cards? So that'll give me a sense of just like, what's your experience level with going in and using the app? Where are you at with that? All right, so we've got kind of a range here. And in that poll, throw those results up so you can see them. All right, so one of you, I feel like if you've used this 5 times, not 15 times, maybe even 10 times, like you're pretty much a pro. It is not that hard to use, maybe even 5 times, like you're pretty much a pro, you know what to do. There's a couple of you who have never used Virtual Climer Cards before. So I want to tell you, this is not an introductory session, and I'm not going to get into like the nitty gritties of like how to set it all up. So if you've never used it before, we do have a how-to session. We actually just did it this morning or a couple hours ago. And we do that once a month. There's also videos on YouTube. So if you've never like done it from facilitator end or set it up, might be a little lost, but I think you'll still see some cool things that will, and it's fairly intuitive. I mean, it's really not that hard. We try to make it so you don't have to think too much. All right, so today I want to share with you the new features. Oops. So here they are. I'm going to list them all out. I'm going to go in and show you the back end. And these were all things requested by you all, by users. So the first thing is you can delete a session. This seems like so simple and it should have been there all along, but it wasn't. You can delete a session. The other thing is, as a facilitator, you can delete a response. So if somebody puts something in that either is inappropriate or a mistake, or you can go in and delete it if you want. You can also now use multiple decks in one session. So if you're asking multiple questions, you can change which deck you use. You can download reports. I think this might be the most requested feature. You can use the session synchronously or asynchronously, meaning as the facilitator, you don't have to be logged in. There's also a QR code that's now included when you're sharing it with folks. It's just automatically in there. And we've been doing some back-end stuff that I won't get into any details, but things are faster and we're continuing to work on that. There's still some more work to do. But this is particularly helpful in the larger groups, or if everybody's in person and on the same Wi-Fi network, sometimes that has slowed things down a little bit. So, all right, let me see. Okay, yeah. So, oh no, that's not what I want to do. All right, so I'm going to go here into a session, into virtual Climer cards, and you're going to see the back end, and I'm going to show you. Oops, let me exit out of this. Sorry, I should have had this set up. So I'm going to click on all my sessions and, oops, let's use that one. So I'm showing you the back end right now. I've got a bunch of sessions. So first thing I'll just show you is you can delete a session. So before this, you could only have an active session or archive a session. So I'm just going to take this first one here, August group. I don't know, this was just some demo session I had. And if I click on these three dots on the side, I can just delete it right from here. So I'm just going to delete that session. And then it reminds you this is permanent. You can also archive a session which is not permanent. You could still access it, but I never want this session again. So I'm just going to delete it. And the only purpose of that just like cleans up your dashboard a little bit. There's no limit at this point to how many sessions you can have, but that has been a request. People just wanted it to be a little cleaner inside there. This is also where you can download reports. You can download an Excel or a PDF report. I'll show you that in a few minutes. But I'm going to go in here to manage prompts. All right, so I'm here in the back end to this particular session. This is actually the session we're going to use in a few minutes. And one of the things you can do, a new thing, is you can have multiple decks in one session. So I have all my prompts down here, and you can see it tells you now which deck you're using. I'm going to hide my face so you can see better. And so for each of these different prompts, I have a different deck of cards. Now, this only works if you have the plus level or above account, because if you have a basic account, you only have access to one deck of cards. And just a quick review on that. This is the different pricing levels. There's this table here that shows you, the different levels, the different features. These new features are not on the table yet. These are one of them was literally released this morning. But with the plus level or above account is where you get to use additional decks. And so if you have that, then in this section, you can add which deck. So the way you do that is you add a prompt, just like you normally would. You can select if you want this prefix in your prompt or not. This was a feature that was added several months ago. So some of you may or may not have seen that. But do you want it to have that prefix that says select a card that represents? I'm going to say no for this one and say just have a question. Which image is most like you? I'm just making this up. And then here you can pick your deck of cards. Now you all will have these, if you have the plus or above, you'll have these first four decks. These bottom four are ones that I have, they're custom decks that I've made for myself, which if you have the pro level or above, you can make some custom decks. So I'm just going to put the people and technology deck in here, and I'm going to hit submit. So it's there now. I can see it at the bottom. So that's available. The other thing you can do here is you can download a report. But you can only download a report if you actually have responses. If there's no response, there's nothing to download. So from here, I can also enter the session, and I'll just show you a couple things in here. If you from here wanted to add a new prompt, you can do that as well. And you can pick the different deck that you want in there as well. I'm not going to do that right now. From here, you'll also see at the top, this is where you can show the QR code. So I've got this whole session set up. I can copy the link, which I can paste in the chat if I want, or I can click show the QR code, and then there it has the QR code on the side. This is particularly helpful if you're doing a session where it's a hybrid session. So some people are in person, and so you have this projected up on the screen in the front, but the people sitting in the room don't have access to the chat, so they can just hold their phone up and go to that QR code and then use it from there. Or I mean, you could do it virtually if people sometimes want to just keep Zoom in their on their computer, and they want to use a phone or iPad or something, a different device for this app. So yeah, all right, Ahmed, I saw you were holding that up. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to hide that code. Yeah, okay, it does change. All right, let me think. What else here I want to show you? Okay, another feature that I'm really excited about is we now have the option to use the session asynchronously. So let me show you what I mean by that. What has happened before is that the only way to use the session is if you as the facilitator were logged in, and which meant that people have said, well, hey, could I just send this out to my group in advance and have them ask this question? And so then we show up at the session, they've already gone in and used it. And unfortunately, no, you couldn't do that until now. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that I want to show you. Yeah. Okay. So right now I'm showing you two screens. On the left, it's kind of like gray or white at the top. This is like my facilitator view. But on the one that's black at the top, this is an incognito window in Chrome. If you don't know what that means, it doesn't matter. But basically, this is the participant view. So right now, this is set up as a synchronous session. So if I exit the session, it's working. It's a little bit slow. Then you can see what happens to the participant view. It says, please wait for the facilitator. Because right now I have this set up where it's synchronous. If I, actually, let me go back in there really quick. If it is synchronous, then whatever I see as a facilitator is what they see as a participant. So I just logged in. This is the question I'm seeing. They're seeing the same question. If I change questions, it changes it for them too. So if I go up to the top where these arrows are, and they got a little squished because I'm only showing have half a screen. And this one, if I hover over it, it says next prompt. If I click on that, it goes to the next prompt, and same thing with the participant view. They now see that new question. If I did it one more time, same thing, which image is most like you, new question, new this one, oh, there it is. So a little bit of a lag, just a couple seconds. All right, so if I exit that session, because we're still in a synchronous style, it's going to change it on the participant view. So I'm going to go back here and edit details in my side, the facilitator side. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and here it says asynchronous. So I have that choice. So I'm going to click on asynchronous and hit submit. Now I'm not entered into the session. I'm going to click over here on the participant side. I'm just going to refresh. Just taking a moment. And now they can respond. And then actually what shows up for them are these little arrows in the top, so they can answer all the questions that are in there. These are all just random questions I put in there as demos. So you could have them go in and be like, I want you, there's 3 questions in there, and have them answer all those questions. And then, when you show up, or maybe you're never even meeting them in person. Maybe it's an asynchronous online course and you want to use it in that way. This is I think this is good for that kind of pre or post work is a good way to use it. But another way might be if you are doing like a hybrid session where it's in person Maybe some people are in person, some are hybrid, or maybe everyone's in person, especially if you have a bigger group where it's not practical to pass around a deck of Climer cards. You can use virtual Climer cards. I've done it many times. I would recommend in those cases where everybody's going to be on Wi-Fi together, just set it up as an asynchronous session, even if you're kind of sort of using it asynchronously. It'll be a little smoother with just like everyone sort of up, on the server at the same time. So I'm personally very excited about that feature. Because that is something I do. I do a lot of keynoting and emceeing, and then I want to use this live with the big group. So, all right, I've thrown a lot at you. I haven't shown you everything yet, but I just want to pause for a moment and see, are there any questions right now? Anything you need clarification on? Anything like that? Feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself. Yes, Jean says, should we be able to do all of this now? Yes, everything I'm showing you. Now, okay, actually, wait, let me see one clarification there. A couple of the features are only available at with certain levels. So the reporting is only available with the pro level or above. Same with the asynchronous synchronous feature is the pro level or above. The multi-decks are only available with the plus level or above. Is there anything you're not seeing, Jean, that you feel like given
I forget what level. Yeah, I forget what level I am.
Okay,
I'm at the basic. I'm like the next. Is that pro or plus? I don't remember.
Okay, so it goes basic, pro, plus. So
I'm pro.
So okay, so that's the if you're not sure,
$100 a year.
Plus.
So I'm plus. Oh, I am.
Yeah.
So I can see multiple decks, but then when I just set up a practice session, I don't know how to get to the multiple decks.
Okay, let me go through that one more time.
So I just set up like a session that I just called it practice.
That's perfect. And you won't see the decks until you go into the prompts and you
I have to add the prompt first. Okay.
It should be when you click on add prompt, you should be able to see.
So I have to select a card that represents. I just say none. Like I can't.
It doesn't say deck. Like, does it look like this?
I can't say. I can't see you.
Hold on. Spotlight.
I have a select a card that represents, enter or select a suggested prompt and then deck and then select it. Yes, that's exactly what I say. So I have to do so I say none and then I can put in a prompt or I can write one. How are you feeling today? Oh yeah. Okay. So I have to do all of the work above in order to
not
see
necessarily.
The decks.
You can start with the deck if you want.
I can? Okay.
Yeah.
Try that.
Looks like it's there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. Any other clarifying questions right now? Any confusions? Okay, cool. All right. So what I want to do, I want to have you all answer a question. And then with that answer, we'll use that and I'll show you how to do the report and a couple other little features. So let me open this up and get to the question that I want you all to answer. All right, so we're going to put a link in the chat. And when you get there, you're going to see this question. How are you feeling about using virtual Climer cards? Go through and pick a emotion, a feeling that describes you. There's also a blank line if none of those fit for how you're feeling. But we'd love to just see, like, how are you feeling right now, especially given these new features? And the session code is there as well, if you need access code for any reason. you all seeing the same thing? How are you feeling about using virtual Climer cards? Or are you seeing something different? Okay, you're seeing different. Okay. So actually this is good because I can tell you what I just did wrong, because this is something that you might do wrong in your when you're working with. So I forgot that just a moment ago, I changed this from a synchronous to asynchronous. So now you would see all of the questions. So that's something to think about. So I'm going to exit out of this. And then eventually we'll have that toggle right here at the top of the screen. We're working on kind of a new design there, but it's not there yet. I'm going to go back to edit details. And I'm going to make this synchronous. That way you only see the questions that I see. Like we're really, this is good. This is a good test for all these new, this feature was the one that was just added. So there may still be a few glitches. We'll see what happens. And please, as you're using virtual Climer cards now or later, let me know what issues, what's coming up, because obviously if we don't know, we can't fix it. All right, so now you should be able to go to that same link you were just in, maybe refresh your screen if you need to, and you should be able to see that question. How are you feeling about using virtual Climer cards? Good. Give me a thumbs up if it's working. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you.
So I'm getting the, along with somebody else, I think. I'm getting your original cards.
Try refreshing your screen, Jean.
Okay, let me try refreshing. Is it a few of us? Okay, yep, thank you.
Okay, cool. That's always the best default answer when anyone has a problem, is tell them to refresh their screen.
Yeah, right, user problem.
Hey, Amy, I'm seeing the responses, but I know I've put mine there and I don't see it.
Let me see. I don't see it. I wonder if you didn't hit submit.
Okay. But I'll do it again.
I don't seem to be able to select at all.
Oh, interesting. Okay. You guys are pointing out all sorts of challenges going on. Because I am seeing, if you're not, first of all, I would say just try to refresh if you don't mind, refresh your browser. I don't know who was it that said you couldn't see anything or you couldn't select anything. Oh.
So I clicked on it and nothing happened. So maybe, and I'm not on a browser. So
What are you on?
I'm on the app. I'm on the Zoom app.
Oh, I see. You're probably clicking on, oh no. You should, like in Zoom, did you click on the link to the app?
I thought I did. So
I can't even, who's talking? I can't tell.
Grace.
Oh, Grace, thank you.
yeah, it's Grace.
And it should have opened up.
I think it's working now. So
Okay.
it's, yeah.
I wonder what it was. Okay. All right, so we have some responses here. We also have a couple glitches that I'm seeing, and this is something for our developer to work on. And that I think because I had it in that synchronous mode, and I'm not sure exactly, but we've got a couple people that were able to add images from the original Climer card, so we'll have to fix that hopefully in the next couple days. But we see a really nice range of feelings: impressed, energized, optimistic, delighted, renewed, very excited. Okay, so now I want to show you a couple things from this page. So the first off is you can delete delete a response only as the facilitator. So if you look at my screen, and can you spotlight me, Christine? If you look at my screen, you can see the little X in the corner, and I can delete
Mhm.
that. So I'm going to
Okay.
delete this one from BA because I know he he answered it differently as well. So I'm going to delete that, and it's, are you sure you really want to delete this? Yes. And then that deletes it, should delete it for everybody. Can you all just confirm? Did it delete it for you on your screen? Okay, thanks, Daniel. I see thumbs up. Awesome. So that's something you can do. I mean, I so far have not heard of anyone, no facilitator has told me that they had somebody put in an inappropriate response, but obviously it could happen. But more likely what happens is I've had somebody say, oh, whoops, I messed up. Can you delete my response? I'm like, oh, actually I can't. Now you can do that. All right. Going back here. The other thing I want to show you is making a report from this. So there's two places you can do that. One is if you click on those three little lines that's called a hamburger menu. If you click on those, then you can download the responses from here, and you can download a PDF or an Excel. And it will only show you, it'll show you for the entire session, but it'll only show you the questions that actually have that anyone has responded to. So this may take a moment. Dan made a comment in the chat. He said to have the response deleted from the screen, I had to refresh the screen. So yeah, that good to know. This may take a little bit. Let me see if I can actually just show you all a different report that I had already downloaded. We're working on making those little quicker, the download a little bit quicker, but it is downloading like a bunch of images. And so, as you know, that can be kind of slow. Actually,
Can you download an archived session, or do you have to make it active again?
I don't know that. I would think you would have to make it active again. And the other thing I'm not positive about is I don't know if you can make reports from past sessions, like sessions that were created before this feature was added. I'm not sure about that. So, all right, I'll just show you this report. I know there's a few things like the multi-deck sessions. Though those are not available for previous sessions, like the multi-decks within one session. So that's only going to be available for a new session that you created and moving forward. All right, so here is an example of the report. So it tells you at the top the URL that you used. Where it says playing with all the new features, that was the description that I had created, that I had put in for that whole session. So you can have that blank if you want. And then it says, so a couple people answered this question. What hope you have for our team, which was one that I had in there. And then how are you feeling about using virtual Climer cards? And so this one with Jean didn't show, I think that was actually the original Climer card image or from one of those. So
yeah, before I refreshed, that's what.
Yeah, exactly. So
the puzzle piece, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple little glitches here, but for the most part, you'll be able to see everyone's response. And the other thing we're still working on is you can see like this one down here with Anna under inspired. It looks like her response got cut off. We know that's an issue and that should be resolved pretty quickly here. It was only showing the first two lines, but that'll be changed pretty quickly here. So anyway, so now you can download your responses. You can also download it as a spreadsheet, which is, super boring, but could be helpful for some reason. People have asked for it, so we created it. All right, let me just see if there's any other feature I didn't mention. Yeah, all right. Any questions you have right now about virtual Climer cards, any of the features I shared, any confusion, or anything we didn't talk about that you're like, oh, I have this sometimes when I use the deck or use the app?
Actually, something you just said made me think. You said maybe there's a reason why you would want to download, and I'm thinking because I work a lot of keywords, SEO, all that. And if you wanted to have like, the number of occurrences of a certain word, to kind of register positive mood or negative, then with the download, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, great point. I love it. Daniel.
Amy, you had in your example you showed where the response got cut off, and you said that was good. Is there a limit in the number of characters for responses? Kind of like what you do in Twitter, you're limited to only
Yeah.
some.
I don't think we've set a limit, and I have not heard anybody tell me they ran into that issue. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there is. I mean,
It wasn't an issue, but when you brought that up, I thought, are we limited? And in some ways, I'm thinking maybe we need to have a limitation on there. Otherwise,
I'm just, yeah,
one of the cards.
yeah, if someone wrote 3,000 words, that might be a problem. Yeah. Well, we'll see if you run into that issue where someone is writing, so much, let me know. Because I also don't want to cut people off too early. And people are using the app in different ways. And so some people are getting pretty creative, especially with some of the other decks, so they're uploading their own deck. And so there are cases where they may want a longer response. But yeah, let me know. Keep me updated if you run into that. It's an interesting question. Other questions right now? Oh, okay. Sorry. The tech person I mentioned, our developer Stephanie, is here, and she just said yes, there is a 500 character limit for the responses from what she could see. If you run into that's a problem, let me know. We can always change it. But yeah, so there is and that's 500 characters, not 500 words. So that could be kind of short, but it's 3 times a Twitter response. So that's probably about right. All right, so I want you to think about how you have used virtual Climer cards before, or how you think you might want to use them in the future, whether it's the virtual Climer cards deck, like the original deck of cards, which many of you have the physical deck as well, or it's the emotion words or the people in tech deck or any of them, or even your own deck. Once you think about that, and then go back to the virtual Climer Cards app, and we'll put the link in the chat again, and select a card that represents what's an additional feature you would like to see. So go through and just, select a card that represents an additional feature you'd like to see, click on it and add what that feature is. And then in a moment, I'm going to send you into a breakout room so you can chat with each other about that feature, and then come back and we'll just do a quick little brainstorm so we can add some more features. So good forward. All right. And if you want to respond more than once, you're welcome to. We are going to send you into breakout rooms. And when you get into your breakout, I'm just going to do 2 rooms, small groups of 3 or 4 people. In your breakout room, please share what's the new feature that you would like to see, and just do a really quick whip around of everybody sharing their new feature. And then after everybody's sharing, just have a quick conversation about those features that came up, how you might use them, those sort of things. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes total. Then we'll bring you back here, and we'd love to hear some highlights of what those new features are. All right, so we'll go ahead and open up those breakout rooms, and we'll see you back here in about 5 minutes. How are your conversations? Good, I hope. I can see smiles. I saw a new Zoom feature that I had not seen before, maybe it's been there for a while and I didn't know, but as a facilitator, when we look at the breakout rooms, the list of who's where, we can see your microphone,
mic,
if you're talking or not. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I can see who's
Yeah.
talking, who's not talking.
That just happened to me yesterday. The first time I saw it, people in pairs telling the story of their names for an equity session. And I could see, like with 5 minutes, that the person who'd been talking in each of the pairs, or I think 10 pairs, were the same people talking. So I knew to say into the breakout room, like, maybe
Don't
time to
forget
switch.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
has anyone used the voice? I still only typed, but have you used your voice into the breakout room? You have? Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
it's a
you
thumbs
have.
up.
I
Great.
haven't
have.
tried that yet. It works. Okay,
Well,
okay.
you have no feedback whatsoever. You don't know if it worked or not. So one time I said 3 different times, it's time to switch. And then a few seconds later, I say, and then they ragged me on it afterwards.
That's funny.
Okay.
But maybe it does, maybe
Well,
it doesn't.
I would love to hear from you all, just what came up in your conversation, what highlights emerged, and you're welcome to type it in the chat if you want, or if you want to unmute yourself, you can, if it's easiest, you can raise your hand like this, or you can use the virtual hand raise. We'd love to hear from a couple folks of what came up in your session that you want to share with everyone. Daniel.
Well, I had originally suggested being able to annotate onto the cards, and I'm not sure if it's just for the facilitator or the allowing the participants as well. And then Ahmad had shared how he uses it, and it caused me to think: what if we had a blank card, and participants can annotate it so they can create their own picture if they don't see something that's in the deck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, there's actually another app where it's like, instead of cards, you just draw your response. It's kind of interesting. But I like that. That'd be a really cool feature. There is a card in the original deck of cards. It's just a blank card.
Blank, yeah.
Obviously they still have to like verbally explain what their answer is, but I do like that. That's really cool. Thanks, Daniel and Ahmed. Other thoughts that came up you want to share? Anna.
I guess we got cut off in our great discussion in our group, but I had selected that networking thing.
Yes.
Because I would love, and forgive me, Amy, if this exists and I'm not aware, but some space on the site where there, facilitators could network and share experiences.
We have something that might solve that problem or serve your needs. We do have a virtual Climer Cards or Climer Cards user community. It's on Facebook. Love for you to join. All of you are invited. We just put the link in the chat there. So if you're on Facebook, we'd love that. There's probably somewhere between 200 and 300 facilitators right now. So, and yeah, it's a great place to just put, hey, I've got this group next week and I'm not really sure. Here's what I'm thinking, or if you have questions, you can put them in there. It's also a place where we'll sometimes I'll share updates or stories. That's another place is you could just like, oh, I had this cool experience and, share a story with us. So are you on Facebook, Anna?
Yeah, I am.
Okay,
I'm
great.
just looking at the Facebook. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I love that. Other things you want to share right now that came up in your group? Okay. And just looking at the responses that you submitted, here. Just wanted to speak to one to make sure I understand them. Anna, I don't know if this is what you're talking about when you said to be able to handcraft some of the cards. One of the options, if you have the professional level or above, is that you can upload your own cards. And they could be anything. It could be, there was a conference I was working at, and I actually had a card that was a logo of the conference. That's fine. It could be, if you're working with kids, maybe you do have them all draw images, and then those get put in as the card decks, and you could upload, have that be the deck that they're all choosing from. I have a client that uploaded faces of everybody in her team and then did this like feedback, like kind of, you know, put one thing you love about each teammate, and they had to click on each teammate and provide responses. It was just like a really cool affirmation thing. So I don't know if that's what you meant.
Yeah, fun. I mean, yes, I was thinking of hand drawing. I mean, have your own card. So that-
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. So you can draw something, upload it if you want, or make it on, you know, Canva or whatever, Photoshop or something. A couple of things I just want to point to. Bernard, do you go by Bernard or BA or either? Okay.
Bernard, I just went with BA.
Cool. Okay, cool. So Bernard put in here, oops, show the card, but do not show the explanation. So there have been a few cases where I found that helpful. And what I tell people to do is just pick a card and then in the response there to put like an asterisk or period or just like one letter or something. And so that's a workaround for now. It is actually on our list to eventually allow people to submit a response, a card without having to write a response. So we are also talking about more languages, you know, making the app available in, you know, Spanish or whatever, you know, I'm not going to list them all, but yeah, available in other languages. So that is something that we're thinking about. Ahmed, was there anything more on that? You said more images in different languages.
I think that's it's writing. Yes, just different languages.
Okay,
Like
perfect.
Texas language or Carolina. You know,
Yeah. What'd you say?
like Texas language.
Hey y'all. That would be really funny. Oh my gosh, I love that. If we had it, so you could be like Southern dialect.
Yeah,
Um,
some comedy, you know, throw some comedy into your cards, you know.
yeah, exactly. That's hilarious. Cool. There's something else. Oh, one thing, and you all, since you're most of you have used Climer Cards before, is this original deck. One of the things that I was thinking about and very mindful of when I created it is I wanted it to be something that worked well cross-culturally. And the feedback I've gotten so far is that it does. It works very well. In fact, the deck has been used in over 40 countries around the world. I think we might be at like 45 now. So that's kind of exciting. Jean.
Yeah, would it be possible to be able to edit? So I write a response or I want more, like I have to go click the card again in order, I can't just go into my original and edit. Is that like beyond a pale, or do you think that's possible?
It definitely is possible for us to add. It's not, obviously it's not available yet. Right now, the only thing is to delete it, but yeah, we'll get that in there eventually. The other thing I wanted to add is Christine and I were doing a little research while you were in your breakout rooms, and what we found out is you can download reports for previous sessions. So if you have a session from last month, last year, you can download a report, and you can download a report from an archive session. So you don't have to unarchive it. So that's cool. Was there something else we figured out, Christine, or is that it? That was it. Okay, cool. So those were a couple questions that had come up.
Organize your business.
The other thing I want to point out here, and just now that we have a developer who is able to respond and do things, it's interesting. One of the things that I'm learning, and some of you already probably know this, but you know, here it took less than an hour, you know, really about 10-15 minutes for me to show you all these features, but they probably took 100+ hours to build. It's sort of mind-boggling to me. So anyway, a lot of the new features that you're asking for, we will add those to the queue. They're not going to be available next week or anything, but they will come hopefully fairly soon. This next sort of round, what we're going to be working on are just kind of some back-end changes that some glitches that have come up. Some of the glitches we saw today we'll certainly work on. But the other thing I wanted to point out to you is just an easy way for you to share feedback and ideas. So when you're logged into your account, I'm just going to exit out of this session really quick. There's a feedback form in there, and it goes directly to me and Christine. And we keep track of like all the ideas and features. And if you have a question, we try to get back to you really quickly. one of the things we're working on is it's a little slow, some of these things. But if you scroll down way to the bottom, you can see it here. It just says feedback. My name actually might be obscuring it. But if you click on that, a little pop-up. If you have general feedback, bugs, if you have a feature request you want, you can put that in there. Particularly if you have a bug or there's a problem and you want to drag and drop an image, like maybe a screenshot of what happened, you can do that. And then you can just submit the feedback and it comes to us. So that's been in there for a long time. Some of you have used it, some of you haven't, but it's all in there. All right, any other questions that you might have before we close? Anything you want to ask or share? Dan asked if I'm using OBS. I'm not. I'm using a Ecamm Live. Are you familiar with that? This feature that I use, this tool that I use to like be able to, move between this, my Chrome or my, and then I have the little circle down there of myself. It's a software called Ecamm Live. It's only available for Mac users, but OBS is the version for PC users, a different tool. Yeah, honestly, that is probably one of the most asked questions I've gotten since 2020 is how do you get that little circle in there? Yeah, it's a different software, but all right. I just want to take a quick look at the chat. Text. I love that. Oh, I also see here like word cloud, move the cards around like Zoom tiles. Yeah, that might be an interesting feature to add. One of the things that is in the queue that those of you who are, feeling creative and maybe want to come up with your own deck. I have a deck that I'm hoping to release very soon, but one of the features we need is the ability that, like right now, when you put a deck in there, it always will show up in a random order. And so one of the features is that when you add your own deck, you could have it always show up in the same order. So maybe the cards are listed chronologically or alphabetically or something. And so that'll be an option moving forward. Okay, did you have a question you wanted to ask? See, your hand is raised. Oh, thank you, Kay. You're muted.
Yeah, I got your book yesterday, and I haven't read much of anything yet. I scanned through your piece, of course, but this is like the first practical book I have seen on virtual facilitation, and I'm so excited about it.
Oh, thank you.
Is it consistently good content throughout?
Well, I'll be honest. Well, let me just explain to everyone else what she's talking about. I have not read the whole book cover to cover because I only wrote a chapter in it. This is a book that a group of facilitators who had been meeting on a regular basis, particularly earlier in the pandemic, and they were meeting. We were meeting every week, although I didn't go all the time. And the point was just to practice and play and like experiment. And me and many of the other people got really good at the virtual space. And so this book is a compilation of different techniques and tools. And yes, the purpose was for it to be very practical. So if you want a copy, Christine just put a link in the chat there. It's a discounted rate right now. It's like 30% off list price. So I only have maybe 10 more copies in stock. But yeah, it just came out like literally last week. I think I shipped them all out. So 2023 copyright. So yeah, thank you, Kay, for bringing that out.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm looking forward.
Thanks. Well, I just want to close and say, have fun with virtual Climer cards. Keep using them. Keep playing. Tomorrow, well, I should say afternoon. Tomorrow, depending on what time zone you're in, I'm leading another session, which is a masterclass designed for people who have used virtual Climer cards in kind of the basic way and want to hear about some new ways to use the app. So you're all welcome to join on that if you want. It's free, of course. And if anyone has any questions, I can stick around for another couple minutes, but we are officially done. So thanks everyone for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye,
so
everyone.
much. Thank you.